guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Optibotimus coming with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Daca Toys Kronos. Now, Daca Toys is a new company in the third-party world, and this is their very first figure. And it's a representation of a masterpiece style and G1 Skyfire. A lot of people were really excited about this when it was first announced, and people have been following the updates on this rather religiously. And after a lot of delays, here we finally have them. For the packaging, as you can see, really nice image of Kronos there in the front, and you can obviously see who it's meant to homage. You can see it says Scientific Explorer Kronos. Come around to the side, you got an image of the same image, just up close in black and white. Come on here to the back, then you got an image of them, but in mostly like test shot sort of colors. One thing that's interesting is it's got a little red blurb right there. It's not an Autobot logo, but it's in the shape of an Autobot logo and it's all red, so you figure it out. You got a nice image here of him in his jet mode. Come around here. Again, that same artwork carries through. What's really nice is that the box is very heavy quality. There's a good thickness to it. It really does sort of remind me of Hot Toy boxes, not necessarily masterpiece boxes, but more the Hot Toy variety. And part of it also has to do with the fact that it has a magnetic opening. You can see it just locks here, and it's kind of hard to actually get to, but there we go, opening it up. You can see on this side here, you got that same image that we saw on the back, but you can see that it is more of a test where it's just got the blue feet. It actually doesn't have blue feet on the actual toy, and then you can see a better image of that red logo area. And then right here, you have an open window that allows you to see the figure in the side, and then you can open it by taking this section, and this is a magnetic piece as well, and then the whole clamshell just removes from there, and that's how you actually get the figure out. So packaging wise, I'm really pretty impressed with it. It's very nice. One thing that I instantly thought when I got it, I mean, the package is very heavy in of itself, but I was really surprised at the overall weight of everything. But beyond that, that is about it for the packaging. So without further ado, let's get him open and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Kronos opened up and out of his packaging, and the dude is big. I am really very impressed with how big it actually is. That's one of the best selling features on this entire thing, the size of him, both in vehicle mode as well as his robot mode. While his robot mode or his jet mode here probably isn't the best that I would like, it is a decent representation. Most G1 fans will be able to look at this and say that that looks like Skyfire. I mean, it really does. Paint on here, at least on mine, is pretty decent. There is a few sections, well, specifically like up here, that it bleeds a little bit. Not too much, but there is some sloppy paint. It's not overly terrible, but it's noticeable. Other than that, quality-wise, I'm actually fairly impressed with it. I will say that the plastic does have a kind of thin feel. Not that it's fragile or anything, but it does have a thinness to it, and some people have likened it to how a model feels, and I'd say that's a decent comparison, I guess. It's good quality, but it's not the best. Definitely not as good as it was being hyped up to be, I don't think. You can see that one kind of ugly bit here. Now you kind of see there's a lot of gappiness between the jet and the backpack section. It's kind of, yeah, it is noticeable. It is kind of ugly. There's a lot of gaps kind of here. Like you got a big giant just gap right there. You got this section here that kind of is gappy. You look in the top here, there's a giant hole right down there because that's where his head would go, and we'll touch on that here in a minute. Generally speaking though, the vehicle mode, is okay, except when it does that. That was not supposed to happen. Get that back in there. But it's not bad. Like I said, most people are going to be able to look at that if they're a G1 fan and recognize that this is a representation of Skyfire. Now, people have complained about, and it became a big giant joke, but they complained about no landing gear. I really think that they could have put landing gear in it. I don't see why they couldn't have this entire section right here slides out. I don't know why they couldn't have put landing gear inside there and had it fold out and then maybe put landing gear here where his knees are, because that's what his knees are going to be. But I don't see why they couldn't have done it. Now, I did go and watch Pia's review on this, and he also mentioned that there's weapon storage here. He had it plugging underneath here, which honestly, I have no idea why you would want to do that in the first place, but I don't know how he actually did it, because there really isn't a clip point in here at all. And I don't know how that's going to come across because it's very dark, but the handle is not long enough to get all the way up there. To have it like sort of slide and grab this. That's what he basically did. I have no idea how he did that, and it's not in the instructions at all to show that. So how this actually clips, if it does, I have no idea. But this is his gun, and it's a decent looking gun. I really do like it. Detail wise, it's very simple, but again, it does convey that look of, well, Skyfire's giant handgun. So I do dig it. I like it. It's a nice representation. I just have no idea where you're supposed to store it here in vehicle mode, if you can store it. So now for a size comparison, I didn't pull out my classic Jetfire, but I did pull out my G1 Jetfire. And as you can see, again, there's a big difference. This is what you're looking at. This is the G1 toy. This is the G1 cartoon. And there's a huge difference. That's why a lot of people are very happy with Kronos, because this is Skyfire form. And I completely agree. That's what you look and feel when you look at this toy. But you can see there is a huge, huge size difference between these. And this is one of the biggest G1 toys that are available. So you can see the size right there. And it's not coming across very well because I'm not zoomed back. But you get a pretty decent idea, I think. And for a final comparison, here you have him next to his buddy Starscream. And as you can see, I mean, actually, the jets are not that different in terms of length. From the back to the tip, they're almost the same. I'd probably say that Kronos is maybe an inch longer, but you can see that there's a much more heavy-duty bulk to Kronos than what Starscream has. But these guys look really good together and look even better in actually the robot modes. I mean, jet mode, he doesn't look atrocious, I don't think. There is some very glaring, ugly parts. Like, I really do think that this whole section here is kind of ugly. You got this flap that just kind of hangs out there. It almost has a incomplete look to it, I would say. And doesn't have, obviously, it does not have a very good aerodynamic look. I can't imagine a plane being able to fly with giant gaps and random things like hanging out here. But the biggest problem that I personally have with this is the transformation. Now, this is a bit of a parts former, and the fact that the backpack removes. Now, that doesn't necessarily bug me really all that much. It's some of the other things that you have to do. So, first to transform them, these pieces right here actually have to be taken off, and this is parts forming to me. The backpack, I don't really care that much about, honestly. I could get away with this, or get away with that. This stuff coming off kind of annoys me. Then to detach this, you come around here to the back, you have to unhook these little panels, or these legs, from these little hinges. You saw it fall apart earlier, and that's really all you have to do. Just pull the legs apart, and that pulls it off. And then slide it up, and then it comes off. And here's his backpack. Now, these pieces here, they come around here, and they will only fit, each one will fit in a specific location, even on the actual jet mode. The little pegs are actually staggered a little bit, so just find the proper one, and then tab that in just like so. One other thing that I would like to mention is, in the review that I watched from PL, he mentioned that these were die cast. Mine are not. I don't know if he got a different version, but I can't imagine why he would have gotten one, because he got his, I want to say 2 or 3 days before the final product was supposed to be shipped out to retailers. So I would anticipate the one that he got pretty much being final. I can't imagine why these would be die cast on his and not on anybody else's, but these just clip up, and they actually clip up really securely, and that's kind of an annoyance. Then you just take this, fold this up. You got these little panels right here that, as you fold it up, you can see lifts up just like so. Then just come around, fold this back down like that. And here you have his backpack. We'll play with that here in a minute. And then we come to the body here, and this is what you're left with. So, yes, the backpack is parts forming, but like I said, that doesn't bug me. This part also, though, does bug me. This piece right here that had these little extra flaps on here, this whole section has to be removed to finalize the transformation. Again, That's kind of annoying. It'll go back on them, but it's kind of annoying. And this feels thin, like really thin plastic, and that concerns me. This is really much thinner than anything else on them, but that's kind of annoying. So you set that off to the side there. Then come around here. Then these bits right here, you're going to detach these, kind of wiggle them, because there's a little nub underneath here. It's hard to see. There's a little notch right there that when you bring this, you have to fold this little gappy section here over, kind of get that over, and I'm trying to put it back in there. And then you peg it in on the side here of the arm, and then that's how you transform that back. We'll cover that later on, but it's kind of a bit of a pain in the butt. And so just take this, wiggle this out, and flop this. Now, people have talked about the looseness and the floppiness of this. It's not too bad. I would like it if there was a little bit more stability with it, but I can handle that. Then these arms right here, kind of lift these up, and then these fold out, and then these are on little hinges that will flop up. So do that on this side as well. Pull this out and slide that up. This whole piece right here is also die cast. His feet are also die cast, so there is some of that going on there, which is nice. Take this section, and then we're going to come around here. Take this whole section here, slide this down, collapsing that all the way in, just like so. Then this part right here clips, and I mean, there is a lot of floppiness, there's no question about it, but I don't think it's too bad. I would prefer it if there was some, like I said, stability when you're doing it, where things aren't just flopping and getting in the way of the other stuff that you have to do, but it's not overly bad. This section here then securely fastens right up here along the die cast, and then you fold this down and bring this all the way down, fold these up along the side like that, and then bring that down like so. And we're just going to leave it there for right now, and then take these legs, collapse these in, and you can see that in doing so, you basically create a false section down here. One thing that I am noticing is there's some scuffing right up in here, which is kind of unfortunate, but compared to some other people's that I've been seeing, it isn't all that bad. So setting that there, going to angle up so we can get this a little bit better. These little bits right here then come along the side, and you just wiggle these in, and then there's a little notch right here that a little square hole goes into. So just wiggle this just a little bit. Here, let's get these little bits up, these little shoulder sections that a lot of people's were breaking as well. So fold that in, just like that. Get that fully collapsed. Bring these arms up, bring these in. Those will sit there, and then take this section here and fold this down, giving that a nice little push till you hear it sort of pop into place. So bring that up, rotate that around, make sure that's pushed all the way in, then bring this down. Some people have already complained that that little peg right there has broken on theirs, and that really does suck. And then you put that there. Bring this down, bring that down. These legs are gigantic pains in them, and you can see that just pulls out every now and then. It doesn't securely stay in all that well. You can pull it off fairly easily, which kind of stinks. But lifting that up, now I'm gonna do the feet. I really hate these feet. These are die cast. You can see this is the proper transformation for them. Easiest way to do it, kind of spread these legs, lift all this stuff, lift this. You got this back section here, which you can see sort of tabs in. So take this out, and then there's the actual tab. Do that all on here just to get all this out of the way so that you can grab a hold of it. Now, one thing that I've noticed is that this section here is really tough to get to slide out. And I've already gotten, where's it at? Right here on my thumb, I've already gotten a little blister from being pinched. You have to take this, and this whole thing, you have to, I should not, it's already feeling like it broke. Yep, absolutely broke. That's really annoying. I can totally see that it snapped right inside there. And that's really unfortunate. Really very unfortunate. This entire thing here has to fold forward, and you can see where it's supposed to, and it's so incredibly tight. I can't, it's so hard to get, but god dang it, I'm so annoyed that that snapped like that. And I don't even know. Yeah, see, you can totally see that piece right here has now broken off. I'm probably gonna have to glue it, but you can see what I'm talking about. That is so frustrating. This, you have to really force this, because the joint in here, and if this break, you know, at this point in time it's already broken, I'm already annoyed, but you can see what you're looking at here. You got this little ridge section on the inside here, which this is supposed to slide along. The problem is the grooves are too small for the metal to slide through, so it gets stuck, and there's nothing that you can do really for it other than not even bother doing it. And now we're gonna try this one here. And this one worked okay. This one, it broke. As you can see, it's broken inside there. But zooming in here, hopefully you can see this. That whole section on the inside there, all that little plastic stuff, it's, like I said, too small. You're basically looking at plastic that's like that, and metal that's too big to fit through it. So when you do force it, it makes that plastic stretch, and then it pops back down, so you're constantly going like this, and it snapped on this side. So it was not like that before I was doing this. It just did it literally on camera. So frustrating, so frustrating. So you put that, fold this back out, fold that out. This is really loose and floppy, and then put that down there. I don't know how well that's actually going to be stable there, because I don't even know, that's not even all the way forward. There, now it is. I could probably glue that, but I shouldn't have to. That's the thing. Why should I have to do that on a figure that's almost $200? Fold this down, and then these legs are really tight to get out as well. Kind of wiggle it, there you go, and pull it, and I'm literally, every single time I do it, I feel like I'm going to pull it so hard that it's going to break off again. So there we go, and then this whole section separated, collapse that together, bring that there, this whole arm thing popped off, bring this down. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to stand them up with that now broken foot, because it's floppy. So there, straighten that. Oh, okay, it actually does stand. Very good. So bring this out, take the hands, detach that, rotate that out, fold that down. Do that there, fold that down. And there you have his body, and you're probably noticing that something else is missing on him, and that's just anything. So he has no head. That's the other thing. His head broke off. When I was transforming it the very first time, you can see there's a little pin here almost, and coming in so that you can see that you got a little hole here. So you got a pin that looks like it was meant to stay in there, but for some reason the head does not stay in there at all. So when I was transforming it, I was pushing it back, and this popped off. Now I'm going to try gluing it. Hopefully that will fix the problem, because the actual ball joint does allow for a full range of motion. It does rotate because the ball's right up inside there. So that hopefully will work. We're going to try gluing it. So let's do that now, and then we'll come back and finish up the video. Alright, so I've glued everything back together. As you can see, his head is now on here, and it does still rotate. It looks up, down, actually has a nice range of motion. I have zero idea why that thing is like pinned in there. I really have no clue, but you do see that the range of motion is still there. The ankle is now secure, but it really doesn't move much. Let me see. Actually, this is the first that I've moved it since then. So because the glue is there, it really, I don't get much in terms of a range of motion with it. And I guess, well, it kind of does move, but once it gets to that part where the glue was, it's not moving. So it is stuck there now. There is a little bit of pivot in it, just not because of below where the glue was, but overall it is what it is. I'm going to try and not base my opinion too terribly on that problem, but you did see it, and there is some disappointment on my part. Now, to finalize the transformation, you have to put this piece back on here. Come around here, and oh no, it goes like this. Put it in like so, push that all the way down, and then these little pieces here fold over, and it closes in that gap on the side of them. It looks pretty good. And then the final piece is to take his backpack. In his jet mode, you clipped it on this section here. For robot, you want to put it on this section. So put it there, slide it down, lock it in, and here you have Kronos fully assembled in his robot mode. And here in his robot mode, much like the vehicle mode, to a G1 cartoon fan, this is instantly recognizable as Skyfire. I really do think that he looks terrific, and this was what I wanted. This is why I pre-ordered this and supported the project from the very beginning. Despite the fact that I had heard rumors about quality control problems, I was still without a doubt wanting this figure because he really does look pretty cool. And as you can see, he holds his gun very nicely. In terms of quality control, the only, besides the broken pieces, the only thing that I got right out of the box was his bicep swivel here is a little loose. As you can see, once you kind of do that, it kind of just slides all the way around. It's not bad. I mean, if you position it slowly, you can see that it will hold an awkward pose like that, but if you barely tap it, it falls all the way back. Now, that's probably up in here. There's probably more or less like that mushroom cap sort of joint in there, allowing it to swivel around, that I could probably fix with floor polish, specifically Pledge with Future Shine. I have seen some people say that they did do that, but it didn't really help, so I'll just try it myself and see if it works. One thing that I don't particularly like is his hand here. The hand by itself is pretty good, but getting that out, you can see that there's a little gap, trying to show that here, between right there. You can see like the peg, or the hole that the gun pegs into, goes all the way through. That's kind of ugly if you ask me, and you can see it on this hand as well. They both have that. It gives a nice secure hold to it, but when you peg it in there, and I guess it's not overly ugly, but when you peg it in there, it's like you see that, and it kind of sticks out. I think I saw another video where they kind of joked and they pegged it on the outside of the hand, and yeah, you can peg it on the outside of the hand, which I don't understand it. But overall, he does, in robot mode, look very nice. A friend of mine joked and said that he looks like a giant shampoo bottle, and he kind of does. I'm not gonna lie, he does have that look. I'm trying to wiggle this ankle. This ankle is going to be a bit of a pain to work with in the future. Oh shoot, is it doing it again? I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it alone. It's not gonna be a good joint ever again. So and actually I think I put it back too far now. So it looks, oh, there we go. It looks really very nice. That's the biggest thing with it. He looks really terrific, but there's just so many concerns that I have with this that it's very hard to recommend this figure to anybody. He looks great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this is, when I think of Skyfire, this is what I think of. And now I'm just having a very hard time getting him to stand. Well, the leg wasn't fully extended out. One thing that I will say is that the plastic on here does have a thinness to it. I mean, you can sort of hear like a hollowness to it. That's just going up without saying, because there is a lot of empty space with him. I mean, you got like the forearms right here with giant empty chasms in there. But it has a weird feel. I mean, honestly, I just got the Warbotron heavy lifty, or heavy noisy, I'm sorry, heavy noisy figure, and the plastic on that actually feels better than this. So use that information however you want. For his articulation, like you could see, the head is on a nice ball joint. You get a good range of motion. You can see that it does have the light piping here, but you come around and the eyes are actually painted a nice powder blue. That was a change that they, I believe, instituted because fans didn't really like it. I don't know. I mean, maybe it was just because you weren't getting a lot of light piping through that small little slit right there to give the eyes any sort of effect. But that light piping is still there despite the fact that they painted them. The shoulders, this part popped out. The shoulders move forward, back. You can hear nice, heavy ratchet joints. Good secure joints there. Sometimes you have to tighten them. On some people's, I have seen that as being a common problem, but mine are actually pretty good. They ratchet in and out fairly decently. They rotate, like you could see here at the bicep. There's two joints here at the elbow, although the upper one doesn't really have much of a range of motion. It's very limited, but the lower one has a much greater range of motion, which is pretty nice. He rotates here at the wrists. The fingers all have, all the fingers are articulated at the normal joints that you would have on a regular hand. So here, here, and here. The thumb, however, only articulates, well, at least, yeah, that's all just one piece, I believe. It only articulates here. It just rotates in and out just like that. Oh no, actually it does have a little tiny, I'm sorry, it does have a little tiny joint right down there. So it does have a joint here and also here. That's actually kind of impressive. I didn't notice that. He does rotate at the waist very slightly, hardly at all, because you got the backpack on here. But if you take the backpack off and you just slide that off, you can see that he does rotate. No, that didn't sound very good, but he does rotate there, but it sounds dangerous, so don't do that too much. The hips here move forward and back. You can see these little flaps here come out. They move forward nicely. There is a pretty heavy ratchet joint as well, so you can get it to hold. You got the weight from the die cast in the foot that I would have anticipated pulling it down, but it really doesn't. It also rotates at the upper part of the thigh, and then also at the mid part here of the thigh as well. It does rotate. I don't know if it rotates outward. It does rotate inward fairly easily, but I'm not forcing anything. Bends here at the knee, and then I don't know if this is supposed to do it, but it's got this. It rotates outward. I don't think the regular knee can do that, so I don't know if that's something on mine or somebody else's, but both knees do it. So I have no idea, but I've never seen a knee, a healthy knee, be bent like that, so I have no idea. The feet, I'm not even going to bother with. They do slide forward and back. They're supposed to, but again, this plastic piece, very, very dangerous to mess with. If you sort of pull on it, you can get it to slide a little easier, but I don't like it. And then the plastic here really feels thinner and softer than the rest. This is a very rigid plastic. This feels softer, and I think that just is done that way to allow the die cast bit right here. I don't know how well you're going to see that, but inside there you got the little die cast rod going from this side of the foot to the other side of the foot, and it slides along this groove section. I think this is softer plastic to allow that metal bit to slide a little bit easier, but unfortunately it also makes this wear down as you move this forward and back along his ankle a whole lot more. And actually, I can actually get it all the way through. Just takes some doing, but I'm not, again, I'm not going to waste my time with it. But as you slide it, it seems to actually grind this plastic down, which would probably be a good thing, would allow you to slide it more. But because of it, it also makes it more fragile. So I don't like that at all. I think that's a terrible, terrible design choice. But it also, the ankle also does pivot, and you can see, I mean, lifting this up, you can see how much flex there is in that plastic. That it shouldn't be there, I don't think. So I'm going to use this one because this one isn't broken, but you can swivel it in and out to get a bit of an ankle tilt kind of going with it. So that's all of his articulation. Everything that you could possibly want in terms of articulation is on this guy. So he's a very well articulated figure, and it's really actually pretty impressive. It's just, again, the quality and craftsmanship that goes into it that I really question. Now zooming in, obviously you can see the head sculpt actually does look really nice. My biggest gripe with it would be the 3D nature of his lips. I understand why it is like that, but for me it kind of gives him a weird look, especially since I'm just used to seeing just like a slit for his mouth. But looking at the rest of the body, you can see that there is a lot of really decent actually molded in detail. I mean, coming down to the chest, you can see, like I said, all that molding is very nicely put into the figure itself. You come down to the arms and the rest of the chest and everything just looks nicely molded. So it's not just a straight white figure. There's actually some nice detail and nice texture that's put into it. One thing that I would say is I kind of get the feeling that his hands are a little bit too small. That's maybe a minor nitpick of mine, but for as big as this figure is, I would like him to have bigger hands, I think. I mean, they look strange. But I really do appreciate that it's not just a white piece of plastic. I like that there's actually some molded in detail throughout the entire figure. I mean, even coming down to the legs, it's all very nicely detailed. Now, big question is, how does this guy actually look with the rest of Masterpiece figures? Considering he's dubbed as a Masterpiece scale figure, how he looks with the rest of them is really kind of important in terms of selling. So first, here you have him next to his buddy, Starscream. And as you can see, this is a big figure. I mean, just really quite massive, and scale wise I think really does look good. Obviously in jet mode he's way out of scale, but in robot mode here, this is wonderful. And here you have him next to some other Masterpiece scale figures, both third party and official. And again, you can see just how big this guy is and how scale wise I do really feel that this is a Masterpiece scale figure. And for one more comparison, because I rarely get to show this guy off, here's my G1 Jetfire. And you can see a huge difference between how the cartoon looked and how the toy was that we got as kids, and why so many people really were looking forward to this as finally getting a G1 Skyfire. Now to transform it back again, there is a degree of parts forming with it. First, come around here to the backpack, and you're going to just kind of wiggle and slide this up. One thing that people have also kind of complained about is that really does sort of scrape the back here. You can kind of see some smudges and such. Mine really isn't all that bad, but it is noticeable. Then when you take this off, you have to take these and, well, fold this out, and then this one is a little bit tough, but bring it out. And like I said, these are little plastic bits. Then take this, you're gonna remove this from the back, do that on this side as well. Take the wings, rotate these down just like so, and then you take these and you collapse these just like that. Now this one actually goes down really easily. This one feels like it's misaligned a little bit, which is one of the problems that a lot of people are also having. I do have a little bit of misalignment here. You can sort of see, I don't know how well that's going to come across, but this forearm is a little bit misaligned, and sloppy paint, or I guess you can see that this is lacking in some paint on the inside here. It's like they didn't spray paint it properly, I guess. I don't know, but a couple other panels are a little bit misaligned, but not as bad as some other people's. And then you want to take this section, you want to rotate this bit out, rotate this out, and then this whole back section just comes off. You're going to set that off to the side as well. Then come around here to the arms, rotate that down, put these hands in a fist, just like that. Lift this and then rotate that back. Collapse that just like so. Do that on this side as well. Again, put this into the shape of a fist. It's a little bit tight here, but get that there. Then rotate. Well, that didn't really want to fit very well. Let's see. Get that in there. However you can get it in there. Doesn't really matter. Then rotate this out. Come around here to these tabs. Lift this. When you lift that, it'll probably make everything else sort of fall apart. Just like that. Then these sections here, lift up, kind of flip them all over the place, straighten out his head. Then come down here to the legs. You want to stretch these out. This is stiff. There we go. Make sure you pull that all the way just like so. And then you can take this section here, rotate the head back, rotate this, continue to rotate the head, and then bring this all the way back, and then this will clip down into place like so. You can take this little sliding section, slide this forward, bring out the full nose cone, then bring these bits down like that, and then you're going to rotate these around like so. Now, like I mentioned, you got a little metal tab right here that you have to fit inside here. So fit that in, and then put that like so. Actually, sorry. All right, all this floppy stuff just gets in the way. You want to bring these arms around first, kind of straighten that, bring that in. That'll lock into place. Do that on this side as well. Bring that around, give that a nice little push, lock that into place. Rotate these around so that the red bits are on the bottom section here, and just kind of bring those down, and then bring this up. It's, like I said, a bit of a floppy mess. So you got, like I was saying, the little metal nub right there that you want to fit through there, and then you got this little peg that's going to go into the circle here on his shoulder. So just rotate that around, sort of fiddling with that, making sure you get that all the way in, just like that. Do that on this side as well, and there we are. Get that in place. That'll make sure, or once you get that done right, make sure that head's straight. This will all be a flush sort of look, and then just kind of push these up just a little bit, make it a little bit more flush looking. Make sure that's all the way extended. And then you got these arms, like I said, and then these actually push down a little bit further. There's a little tab section on the metal underneath there that allows you to push these down nice and secure. Now, these legs are a bit of a pain in the butt. You could see previously that it's hard to actually collapse them. You have to wiggle almost to get it to collapse all the way, and it kind of stinks to force it like that, but that's the only way that you can really do it. And again, wiggle. I really do wish there was a button that you could push to release this leg. That would have helped things a whole lot. As it is, this whole thing is very, very difficult to do. I mean, I'm struggling here, and like I said, if you're putting this much force in something, it doesn't feel like it's very safe to do anything. There we go. Got that all the way in. Now, these feet, I am not going to transform these the proper way. First, you want to take these and tuck these down. I am not going to, because I don't want to break them. Put them down like that, and I'm just going to fold these up and do that. Now, normally you would rotate them down, but like I said, I'm absolutely not going to do that because I don't want to break this anymore. You can line this up and bring this down. You have this little tab section, so you want to straighten out that ankle bit. Bring this, and then that'll lock into place. So basically, you're going to have him a landing gear, but in a rocket sort of sense. So doing that, then you take this, bring this up here, bring this onto the top section, and then, wait, no, I think I did it around again. Just like that. There we go. And then just these sit down just like so. These come around here. You can feel around. Like I said, they are staggered a little bit, so they will only fit in one location. So do that there. Do that on this side as well. Then you take this and you slide this on. come around here, latch these to the legs, and do that on this side as well. There we go. These aren't really secured by anything. You just kind of tuck them up, fold this up like that, and here you have Kronos back in his jet mode. Now, ignoring all the quality control problems for the moment, in my opinion, the vehicle mode, while recognizable, isn't very solid. It's very gappy and doesn't have a very streamlined look that Skyfire should have. Things just really don't lock into place all that well. I mean, with the arms, it's like they're just up there. I mean, they're not locked in. They just kind of sit there in that position. And then the legs, they secure, but by these little pins, and you can see that they do detach fairly easily, and then you're kind of stuck having to put it back together. And honestly, the landing gear thing, while it doesn't bug me too much, I think that they could have engineered them in. Now, obviously not once it's already done, but I think you could have put something up in here, also down here in the knees, something to give it those landing gear. Now, granted, we didn't really see him with landing gear a lot in the cartoon, but if you're going to display them in this mode, you're just stuck putting them down, and that kind of stinks, and it probably scrapes the paint on the bottom. As for the transformation, it really is a floppy mess. When you're doing it, you have to hold certain parts up so that you can move other parts. And while I appreciate the design choice, I think it really could have been implemented much better. To me, that just speaks to the overall weak decision that the design itself has, specifically with the arm transformation. As for the parts forming, I don't necessarily have a problem with the jetpack that removes, but the air intakes on the side, as well as that extra back plate having to be taken off, it's just an annoyance. If those pieces were incorporated into the transformation, it would have gone a long way to making the design flow much nicer. As it is, right now I feel like I'm creating a Creo when I transform this, taking it apart and putting it back together. Now, as for the robot mode, again, it's a very nice representation of Skyfire, but the design choices here, they're just questionable. The way the arms transform, the tab section on the shoulders, it's very weak. Even if those small little tab sections don't break, which a lot of people are complaining that that is one of the problems that it's having, they can and do flop out of their position randomly. It's not a very secure connection and doesn't lock the arms together. To me, that's just another bad design choice. The legs, I really don't know what's going on with them, but every single time it requires so much force that I really do feel like I'm going to break them when I'm pulling it out to fully extend it. As I said, a manual release switch, like what MP10 had, would have been a much better choice. And then we come to the feet. Now, as you saw earlier, that whole ankle section is plastic, and I really do feel that it is too small. The die cast, which is supposed to flow through it easily, doesn't, and it ends up stripping the plastic and stretching it over time, which to me no doubt makes it susceptible to breaking, as you could see in mine. I just think the decision to use die cast for the feet was just a bad choice overall. Now, all of those things are a part of the design process, and I really do feel that it wasn't thought out and tested fully. This is a great looking figure that, in my opinion, was poorly executed, and when it comes to recommending it, it's hard for me to. It does look terrific, especially in robot mode. As I said, you look at that and it really does give you a Skyfire feel, which it's supposed to do. So I give Daca Toys credit in doing that. But then when you look at all just the regular design choices, I really don't feel that this is where it should be if we're going to call this a masterpiece. Unfortunately, I feel that term is used way too often. And to me, this is not a masterpiece transforming figure. Size-wise, absolutely. But everything else about it, absolutely not. And as the first figure from Daca Toys, you really would have thought that they would have been very, very careful when it comes to QC issues. And this thing is riddled with them. I've used that word before to describe the QC problems with it, and I stand by it. I really feel that there are way too many problems with it. So many people are saying that they're getting good ones, but there's minor things like slightly sloppy paint. That's beside the point then. That's QC. It's bad. Yes, you can fix some of the stuff, but you shouldn't have to. When you're buying a figure even at retail, most of the time it's not a gamble. This is a gamble. You have no idea what you're going to get with this. And at least with a retail product, if you do have a problem, it's easy to return it and get your money back. Or exchange it and get a better one. If you exchange this, you have no idea if you're going to get another bad one sent out to you or not. It's just way too risky, I think. Now, there will be some people that will absolutely love the way that it looks, and there's no denying how cool he does look. But I think when it comes to these figures, we as collectors need to take a stand and say this is not acceptable. Especially when the creator of this is going around saying how great this is going to be and how it's going to speak for itself. Because in my mind, the only thing that this is saying is that he really didn't care enough to make sure that the product he was sending out was something that he would be proud of. I can't imagine anybody doing work and sending out subpar stuff and being proud of it. But that's a personal thing on my side. Now, all is not lost. And I hate mentioning it, but this is not the only masterpiece sort of scale slash figure that we're supposed to be getting from a third-party company. Fans Toys has said that they are making one as well, but it will come after all of their Dino Bit figures. So it is a little ways away, but it's something that we have that we can look forward to. And hopefully by then, the bad taste of this figure will have washed itself out of our mouths, allowing us to enjoy that other one. But who knows? Only time will tell. Now, if you are interested in picking this up, it will be available on a lot of online retailers such as Big Bad Toy Store. So if you would like to get them, go ahead and click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to Big Bad Toy Store where you can pick this up and you can add it to your collection. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that you can keep in touch with me by liking my Facebook page at facebook.com/teambotimus or by following me over on Twitter at twitter.com/optibotimus. Also, don't forget to check out my new website at optibotimusreviews.com, where you can see all my reviews from the previous week, as well as see what I have coming up for future release. And I'd also really appreciate it, guys, that if you like this review, to please rate, comment, and share this video. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.